Hey guys, it's Alyssa here for Books and Cats, and today I shall be talking about the books I read for Borrowathon. First I had debated just doing an entire November wrap-up, but I read far too many things for Borrowathon, and I already have 3 books outside of Borrowathon that I need to talk about, and I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people who uploads a big wrap-up. I just don't want to do that. So here I am to discuss all the things I read for Borrowathon. So if you did not watch my Borrowathon vlog, I had a fantastic round. I completed 8 things. It was wonderful. I read so many things that I absolutely loved. I really only was disappointed by one of them, and it was so much fun. I had a great week, and all of the good reads were had. I had to move my bra because it was in the background. Anyway, I will tell you what I read, what challenges I completed, all that fun stuff. I'm going to do it in the order that I read, not usually how I do it, where it's from most to least. I'll do that for my regular November wrap-up, but for this, I'm going to do in the order that I read them. So the first book that I read for Borrowathon was Mr. Limoncellos' Library Olympics by Chris Grabenstein. Hold on, let me adjust this angle. It looks like a slightly better angle. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It was fun, super fun. This is the second book in the series, and I have decided that I'm definitely going to save these for Borrowathon because they're not books that I would necessarily own, and they will always complete the challenge, which is what I completed this challenge this time around, is the challenge of a book featuring a library, because it's all about Mr. Limoncellos' library and all of the shenanigans that happen there. This was a great sequel. It's one of those series, honestly, that you don't have to continue with. Like, you could realistically probably read them all separately, like even not together, but I'm gonna keep reading it because they're super easy and fun books, and if you're looking for a fun middle grade series to get from your local library, I highly suggest this one. The next book that I finished after that was How to Be a Good Creature by Cy Montgomery and Rebecca Green. I think it's illustrated by Rebecca Green. I might have the illustrator wrong, but yes, I gave this 3.75 stars. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to be more strict with my ratings, and I did really enjoy this. It was all about a woman who it's a memoir, and it's all about the animals in her life and how they affected her and shaped her and taught her how to be a good creature. That's where the title comes in. I thought it was a really lovely read, and it was really lovely to read about someone's perspective about animals who genuinely loves them to like their core. I think that's like such an amazing quality, and like you have a lot of people out there that like kind of tolerate animals, but to truly have like a true animal lover is like one of the best qualities I think you could ever have. Really loved reading it. I highly recommend if you're in the mood for a heartfelt read all about some precious animals. And that was for the challenge. That could have covered multiple challenges, which is definitely of a book I've never heard of because I just found it. It could also be for a 2018 release. And what was the other challenge that it could have completed? I need to look up the Borrowathon challenges because then I forget all of them. Great going, Alyssa. You literally just went through. It was also the challenge of a book with the name of an animal in the title because it's called How to Be a Good Creature, a memoir about animals or told through animals or something like that. The next book that I finished was The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This book had me in my feelings. It had me feeling some type of way. This is all about a Dominican girl who lives in, I believe, somewhere in New York. Some city in New York. All about how she wants to be a poet and the family struggles that she has. Surprisingly, this is not normally a book I would have read. I don't really read a lot of contemporary. This was an exception. I loved the format. For the format, I was really worried that it would be really hard to keep up with, really hard to pay attention, but it was not. I thought it flowed extremely well. I thought even if you're not a person who reads a lot of poetry, I read a fair amount of poetry, it was still easy, really, really easy to follow. I thought it was wonderful that it was so fleshed out for the format. Like, I was worried that I wasn't going to connect, but I connected so well. And I talked about it in my wrap-up, but a lot of the cultural things with her family that she had to deal with, I could totally relate to. Could totally, like, relate to that. I was not expecting to relate to it on that level. I mentioned this in my vlog, but I'm going to mention it here. I'm half Puerto Rican. I don't really talk about it, but I am. And so much of the cultural things dealing with her family that she's dealt with are definitely things that I understand and I get and like I feel on like a deep level. It's really wonderful, beautiful, breathtaking. Honestly, there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing wrong with it in my opinion. The characters were great. They were fleshed out and it handled all of the points well, and I honestly have no complaints. That being said, the challenge that this completed was a book you think you're gonna love, and I loved it. The next book, which is the most disappointing book, sadly, is Delilah, Dirk, and the Turkish Lieutenant by Tony Cliff. I was really underwhelmed with this one. I ended up giving it 3 stars. This was for the challenge of a book with 150 pages or less. I think it was a little over 150 pages, but whatever. I didn't not like it. I just thought it was okay. I'm hoping that the rest of the series gets more interesting, but I thought that there was no connection with any of the characters. Like, I didn't relate to any of the characters. I didn't feel like I knew them at all. Like, I felt like it was one of those things where I was being told this is how people are instead of like being shown that this is how people are type of thing. I feel like if I didn't know as much as I did going in, that I would have been even more lost. So yeah, I just thought it was okay. Not a fan, not super fan of the art style. It's kind of just mediocre. I don't really care for it, so that wasn't another thing that was like out of the park. I will continue to get it from the library probably if my library has the other volumes, but it was a dud. It was a dud for me. The next book that I finished was The Penultimate Peril by Lemony Snicket. I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. I really am digging the end of the series of unfortunate events. In the middle, it kind of got like stagnant for me. I felt like it was the same formula. We were doing the same things were just happening over and over and over again. And I feel like finally, with like the last 3 books especially, it like really shifted and like really got shaken up. For middle grade books, they just go into so much. Like, they talk about people and how people are and the good and bad of people, and it's just really interesting for a middle grade series. I don't really have many thoughts other than I really enjoyed it. The audiobooks are one of my favorite audiobooks ever because they're done by Tim Curry. If you know anything about Tim Curry, you know he's one of a kind. The next book that I read was The End by Lemony Snicket. Now, I think I have a little bit of I don't want to say controversial, but apparently this book has very polarizing views on the ending. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. If it was a different series, I would have hated this ending. If it was any other series, probably, other than the series of unfortunate events, I probably would have I wouldn't have burned it, but I would have wanted to burn this book. If you don't want to hear about it, then like skip ahead till my hand's down, but there is no resolution. You don't get any resolution at all. There is no resolution whatsoever. Like, you don't get definite answers. And if it had been any other series, I would have been pissed. But I honestly didn't expect to get answers because with how much the entire series built up I feel like anything would have been a letdown, honestly. I feel like it was an appropriate ending to the series for what the series was, how it was, and all of that. It's a very particular genre and feeling and vibe to it that if it was anything else, I would have been like, no, this is bad, stop, no. But because it was this series, I really enjoyed it, and it didn't, like, I finished it and I was like, I don't hate this. Like, I don't feel dissatisfied somehow. Those are my feelings on that. The last 2 books that I read are in the same series, and that is volumes 8 and 9 of Miss Marvel, which is Miss Marvel Mecha and Miss Marvel Teenage Wasteland. I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars. As for Miss Marvel Mecha, Kareem was feeling some type of way. Just saying. I love this series. I think it's getting better and better with each volume. If I could rate them 7 out of 10, I would, because they're so good. They're so good. They always got me feeling some type of way. They always just so good. So, those are all the things that I read for Borrowathon. I'm sad that it's over. If you participated and you're watching this, I hope you did really well. If you want to, down below, let me know how you did. I'd like to know. I had a wonderful time. I did really well this round, despite being sick. If you want to, all my social media will be in the description. And that's all I got for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.